It's the Texas Showdown in the postseason, and BetOnline is your #1 source for all your baseball wagering info with up-to-the-minute stats, news, scores, and matchup breakdowns. Hey everybody, it's your man Lloyd Spence, and my Texas Rangers are doing it! So, get the latest game odds, spreads, and totals of the NFL and college football at your fingertips with BetOnline's real-time updates on statistics, news, and odds. And we have everything you need to stay up to speed on each LCS all the way through to the World Series. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Don't forget to use your promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. With BetOnline, it's where the game starts. Tell them the Noisemaker sent you. Go Rangers.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Popcorn World. Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. Put the bacon around the world and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. 250 flavors.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
A glorious, glorious morning to you all who are watching live or got up this morning to watch this on a rewatch. Good morning to you all. We are here. We are glad to be here. That's Kendrick Haskins. He's functioning on like maybe an hour's of sleep. I don't know. Not much.
Not much.
Not much, but he's here. He's faithful. There you go. And then, of course, the ever crispy Charlie Ward is here.
Coach
He's
Crispy.
in the building looking as good as he wants to. And let me just tell you how proud of a friend and brother I am when they were announcing you guys last weekend. And the last and deserving name was the great Charlie Ward. I'm not even gonna humble flex you on that because we humble flexed on the inside because Karate Man bleed on the inside. So it was amazing to watch you take your well-deserved bow, sir. I enjoyed that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, and it was a great weekend all the way around.
It was. It looked like it was. Like
Salute to Coach Crispy.
I saw that. Yeah, salute to Coach. You guys look good, man. You guys look good. So we got an interesting show today. We have watched 7 weeks of football. And to be honest with you, after watching 7 weeks of football, I honestly don't know where we are yet. But I feel like we're headed towards something very, very incredible. And I'm not just talking about ACC. I'm talking about the whole picture. Because I don't know if you had to pick a real dominant team, first in the ACC and then on the national scene, and you could stand on it, and you had to bet your house. Is there anybody you feel comfortable betting your house on?
To win the ACC or national?
Both. I'm going to say ACC, no. I don't feel comfortable with anybody. Like super comfortable? No.
I feel comfortable with Florida State in the ACC.
You say Florida State, okay.
But On top of that, um, it's hard to say super comfortable because there are other teams that could win as well. Because there are a lot of good teams in each conference this year. There's no one, dominant team like we've had in the past with Clemson at just ACC standpoint. I mean, they were like the standard. Now you got North Carolina, you got Florida State, you got Duke, um, all by Louisville, all vying for, they're quality teams, all vying for that spot. And SEC got very similar
Same
situation.
thing. Pac-12,
Pac-12,
same thing, or Pac-2, as I heard it said this weekend.
Tupac.
Washington, Washington is the standard right now because they beat Oregon. But I mean, there's a lot of games to be played within that league with some quality teams. So it is hard to say one team if that's your point that you're trying to make.
That's part of my point, and then here's my other point, and this comes from Mac Brown via the great Bill Parcells. He said in 2005, and this is a great story. He said in 2005, Texas was rolling. Some of you may or may not remember that 2005 team. They were a really good team. Huh?
Was that Colt McCoy?
No, that was Vince's first year.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Vince's first year. And they were rolling. They were doing great. And they had just come out of beating Oklahoma. They just come out of beating some other, and they had to play 4-7 Texas A&M. And Bill Parcells called his good friend and former teammate Mac Brown and said, "Hey man, what are you up to?" He said, "I'm good. I'm good." He said, "Listen, I'm calling you because you're in a dangerous spot right now. You're about to eat rat poison." He said, "What?" He said, "You're about to eat the poison cheese." He said, "Your team is killing right now. Y'all dominating. You just came off of a 66-14 win. You look great. You're about to play a team that thinks you're their bowl game, and they got nothing to lose. And you don't even see them, and your team doesn't see them. You're in trouble, and you don't even know it." And he said it hit him kind of hard. And then when they played the game, to prophecy, at the end of the first half, they were down 29-24 to Texas A&M. He said, now they ended up winning the game, but he said it was scary the entire time. That's where I think we are in the season. There are some teams who are looking at their schedule going, we should be fine.
We witnessed that this past Saturday.
We witnessed this past Saturday. We should be fine. Everything should be good. It's not good. Expectations may be the very thing that, and there are some teams now who are looking at their schedule and say, we're not going anywhere. We're not going to win a bowl game. So you know what we should do now? We should go play spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see us. Why not beat them? So I wanted to look at the top four because I think the top four are what they are, and I think that's not going to change. I think it's like you said, Charlie. I think it's Louisville. I think it's Florida State. I think it's Duke. I think it's North Carolina. And their schedules are interesting going to the end. So let's start with North Carolina since we were just talking about them. They have this weekend Virginia. Now, that surely should be a winnable game, right? Like, that's not,
I think that'll be fine.
They should be fine. After that, they have the always flaky Georgia Tech. They have Campbell, which should be a win. And then those last three are very interesting, especially since two of them are on the road. What are your thoughts about North Carolina getting to the finish line, undefeated or unscathed?
I think those next to the last two games are going to be tough because Duke will have Riley Leonard back more than likely, and Clemson will continue to be Clemson. I mean, You know, they've lost 2 games,
Yeah.
but they're still at a place where they can, beat anybody.
By the way,
So
latest on Riley Leonard is that he's day to day. They have not officially announced that he's playing this weekend, but he did go through the practice pregame stuff last weekend, and he didn't play, but he went through it last weekend. They're going through day to day right now. No official word has been released though.
well, they're gonna need him because
Mm.
that other guy
Yeah, it's not good.
completed 4 passes
It's not
out of
good.
12. 4 passes out of 12. And
There's a massive drop off.
Dog didn't even like it.
Well, he was going to bet Duke for the upset, just
Right.
to mess with Charlie.
Right. But like to fit what you said about we're not. I mean, because Clemson fits that spoiler role
That's my point.
perfectly because they're good enough to compete. I mean, and you could say they those games they've lost, they could have gone the other way, and they're not playing for a national championship obviously this year. Maybe they're this close to being out of the ACC, and so they definitely fit that role of spoiler.
It's very interesting because I still see them with 4 losses, but they do have the capacity, like you said, to get that 1 win. And then NC State, I mean, it's a rivalry game, and
Right.
NC State would like nothing. Though they would like nothing more than to ruin North Carolina's season. Nothing would give them more pleasure. So there's their rundown. Then of course there's the team that we all predicted would make it to the ACC championship game, Florida State. If Florida State plays Florida State football, they should be fine. The only one that gives me pause of all these games is the Florida game. Again, simply because, not because Florida's that great, but simply because it's a rivalry game and it's their bowl game. It's their championship game.
I think they can be worried about Miami still. But like you said, it's a rivalry game. Miami gave one away.
Yeah,
they haven't beat they struggle against Carolina every year, and so again they're one of those teams that's talented enough to beat just about anybody, and they're not playing for a national title. So like you said, they could play the role of spoiler, and what would they like more than to spoil their arch rivals run to the Final Four? So yeah, Miami's very dangerous.
The only reason I didn't put Miami in there is because Florida State has that game at home.
Yeah,
and so I feel like that might be the deciding factor. I do think it's going to be a close game now, just because, like you said, I think we're in that weird window all the way across college football where now the Davids are coming for the Goliaths, and it's going to get ugly toward the end here. But your thoughts, Charlie, on your Seminoles going down the stretch? Is there any game that gives you pause?
they all give Charlie pause.
y'all looking at those games. I'm looking at Pitt. I got a chance to see Pitt with the new quarterback. I think he gives them a better chance to win.
Help me understand, Charlie, because you're a smart guy. You're a Hall of Famer. You've done this on the highest level.
I already know the question, and I want to understand this answer too.
Why has he not been playing? I don't understand. Like, clearly he's way better. I don't get it. Help me understand.
Maybe as a coach, sometimes you misevaluate your talent, and sometimes you find a gem, in the rough. And
he missed that by a mile.
I mean, that kid was good at Penn State. I watched his one start before because he had one start at Penn State, and it was against Rutgers, who was bad last year, but a couple years ago. But he looked the part, and he looked better than what was there before then. And so
I don't see how
default to Charlie.
I don't see how you saw him on the field and Phil Yurkovich on the field and said, "No, let's go with Phil." That's a real serious misevaluation.
Sometimes you don't get it right, and you find, like I said, Jim, later on. And so I guess it's always great when you can find it and that person step up, because the other thing is we don't know what practice looked like.
That's always that.
He could definitely have had a great game, last week
Yeah.
against Louisville, but we don't know what practice looked like. I mean, he could be missing guys, not understanding what he's supposed to do, and so that might have kept him off the field, and he needed some time to be able to learn what to do, and he got his opportunity and took advantage of it. So now the big thing is, can he be consistent? Because I mean, we all can have, you know, one game where no one really knows who you are, and they don't have any tape on you,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Right.
now they teams have tape on you. They know what you like to do or want to do. What frustrates you, and then they go and game plan against you. Then it makes it a little bit tougher. So I just want to see how they finish out with the new quarterback, and that'll be very interesting to see how he does moving forward.
So for you, Pitt's the poison cheese. Like let's not act like we're gonna just go dominate. They're the unknown.
Right, and it's on the road, and
Yeah,
it's
and
in
it's on the road.
November.
Well, if you
And
get the weather too that Louisville just got, you should definitely be concerned.
It's definitely an equalizer. And
It is. I didn't realize it was that much of an equalizer. But
at that stadium too, because I know we'll get into it a little bit later when we talk recap the week. But like that stadium is so hard to kick field goals in. That's why when they elected to kick a long field goal late, I was like, "What are we doing here?" Because anybody who's watched the game in Pittsburgh knows how hard it is to kick field goals in that stadium. But not that quarterback though. I mean, that was the X factor. That I'm gonna be honest with you. It gave me pause making my picks last week because I had watched him. I had watched his game against Rutgers, and it's just the unknown. And so, like Charlie said, they don't have film on him for except for one game. I mean, Brom did recruit him out of high school. He did say that, but it's just that mixed with everything else going with it, coming off the Notre Dame game, Brom's history in games after they win a big game. It
really was a perfect storm for the kids.
It was,
and then the injuries didn't help. Like
right, not having Jawar Jordan, and so which. I don't know. I mean, as much as I love Jawar is a great player. The way they rotate backs so much that I wouldn't have thought it would have made that big of a difference in the offense to the degree it did. I know I would have expected it to affect the offense, but not to the degree that it did.
Bro,
I think under normal conditions,
Hold on, just a minute. I just sat here and watched it. I just looked up the stats from Christian Below.
I think it's Bayou.
From Pitt.
Right.
He was 12 for 26 for 200 yards.
Hey.
2
accurate.
touchdowns, no interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, by way, I mean, that's okay, but that's not earth shattering. So,
right.
But the good thing about it was he didn't turn the ball over. And
right.
he did what they asked him to do, which is probably hit short passes, which he did a great job of moving the chains. And then
200 yards on 12 completions. They weren't too short.
Well,
over 10 yards completion.
I'm gonna tell you my honest assessment of him wasn't that he was so great.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like.
Is that he didn't do anything to lose that game?
He didn't do the dumb stuff.
Yeah, that Phil does. Phil does the dumb stuff. Right. Phil is gonna do the dumb stuff.
Yeah, right. But that's what made it look like he was so impressive. Exactly. Now you're right, Charlie. The stats aren't going to jump off the page.
Yeah, no. I didn't think he did anything in that game that was.
But he didn't make the dumb mistake that Phil does, and that quite honestly, Jack did. Jack Plummer.
Jack had 2 interceptions with
Jack
1 touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the interceptions one of the interceptions wasn't his fault. It was a drop, but he also had some plays though where they would have short yardage situations like 3rd and 4th and 1. Instead of just picking up the first down, he's chucking it to the end zone to a covered receiver. I'm like, what are we doing here? Let's just get the first down.
Yeah, he played a little
They had that a couple
uncharacteristic and
times in the
desperate.
game.
Yeah, he played a little uncharacteristic and desperate. Again, I just think the kid had the perfect storm. It was just literally it was raining.
Literally,
and
literally
it
was
was
a
just
storm.
a lot of stuff that played into for him to have a great opportunity. And he didn't do
Jamari
anything
Thrash wasn't 100% either.
Well, listen, that's true, but the man had 9 receptions and 120 yards, so I'm not really.
He's pretty good at football.
He's good at
pretty
the
good
football.
at
Yeah.
Does that not look like? Does that not look like Calais Campbell back there?
He does look like a young Calais Campbell. He absolutely does. This is an interesting stretch as well because if Riley Leonard comes back, I gotta assume it's probably more closer to the 70 to 80% than it is to the 100%. Just because of the nature of the injury. And this is not an easy run. Like Florida State, Louisville, I don't know what you're going to get Wake Forest, North Carolina. This is a hard run. They may have the hardest run of the they may have the hardest run of the group.
They really do because you have the 2 wild cards in there with Wake Forest and put their schedule back up real quick.
Yeah. Wake Forest and Pitt, I would say.
Wake Forest and Pitt, you don't know what you're going to get. And then you have the tough ones with Florida State, Louisville, and North Carolina. And so, yeah, 4
of 6 on the road.
Yeah, they've got a really the schedule makers did them no favors.
No favors.
The second half of the season.
A lot of poison cheese on that one.
That ain't even poison cheese. That's just.
Those are mouse traps to avoid because they're everywhere. They're everywhere. What do you think Duke's chances are, Charlie?
Hopefully they lose this weekend to add to their number, which would be.
And then they become that spoiler team we was talking about.
And then they will have to compete with Louisville and North Carolina and those teams to stay in it. But that's a tough road they have.
Yeah.
And then like you mentioned, 4 of those 6 games, I think it is, they're on the road, which is equally as tough. So Riley Leonard, the question is he's a very good quarterback. He's a dynamic quarterback when he's a dual threat guy. Will he be able to do that with the ankle injury? Because they like to run him in a lot of situations. And so I'm not sure if they'll put him in that situation, run first situation with the ankle injury, at least right out the gate. I mean, he looked like he was limping on the sideline when they were playing last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know how. I know he wants to come back and be there, but how effective will he be?
How many weeks has he been out, Charlie? Do you remember?
He went out the Notre Dame game.
It was a Notre Dame game. So he's
last play.
So he's only been 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks.
But they had a bye week.
They had a bye week in there.
And they had a bye week, so 3 weeks. Can you get over a high ankle sprain in 3 weeks? You can, I guess. To some degree.
It feels like high ankle sprains are one of those things that you never really get over it until the next season. It feels like because it lingers.
Well, that's my point, and to Charlie's point, I don't think he's going to be running. Like they may put him out there, and he may be able to drop back and do some things.
But like they're probably going to bring him back. Probably the Louisville game, to be honest with you. Because I don't think you want to bring him against Florida State's pass rush, but Louisville's pass rush is pretty tough too. To bringing him back,
yeah.
I don't know if you bring him. I mean, they're probably going to.
On the line.
Their season's on the line.
Sure on the line, yeah.
Right, and he's gonna want to play. He's a competitor, so that's a tough one. I don't know, but like what we saw from his backup,
Oh,
I mean, him on one leg might be better option. So I don't know what you do if you do.
But they've been relying heavily on their run game, uh, which they did last week as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
and that's been very productive. So it'll be interesting to see how they attack Florida State. Um, Florida State's defense is just the thing that will keep Duke in the game is their defense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Their defense is solid. That's what kept them in the Notre Dame, all the games, I should
Yeah.
say. Um, and so it'll be interesting to see if their offense can muster up enough to keep their defense off the field the entire game.
And then, of course, after that, you have Louisville, who's on the bye this weekend.
Yes.
And then they finish with Duke, with Virginia Tech, with Virginia, Miami, and Kentucky. But they have the opposite. They have 4 of the last 5 at home and very winnable games.
Mhm.
So just when you thought they had no path, it looks like they may have a direct path. Like
they
of the
need
4, I think they have the easier.
well, they've
Right.
had the easier path for everybody all
The entire
season.
time, exactly. Yeah.
So that's what makes it so disappointing that they dropped that game the other night, because it feels like if they'd have handled their business throughout, they would have walked right into Charlotte.
Yeah.
But now you need help. You need North Carolina to lose. You have to beat Duke, which they had to do that anyway. But you need North Carolina to lose, and so you need help now, and that's not a position you want to be in.
But they also have to be on alert because when you have so many home games left, you feel like that's a security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then
Great
there's
point.
a team like Virginia Tech who is dangerous with the
That's
quarterback.
that's that one that scares me with them.
Yeah.
You talking about the rat cheese or whatever? That's
Yeah.
what scares me with them, because I don't even think they've played since Louisville's been in the ACC. If they have, it's only like once.
Right.
It's weird scheduling that they never play Virginia Tech, and so so they really don't have too much to go back on when it comes to Virginia Tech. So yeah, when we talk about the one that's kind of scary looking at that
A lot of
schedule,
unknowns.
Virginia Tech is the one that scares me with Louisville, even though they're so wildly inconsistent.
So if you had to guess today, who are your 2 teams to make it to the end?
Florida State for sure.
I'm going to stick with Florida State because I think,
I can't see them losing twice.
yeah, I just think when they're playing their best ball, they're the best team in the ACC.
And that, to me, I mean, and I know Charlie's going to disagree, but they don't even have to play their best ball every week because they haven't.
I mean, that's fair statement because I mean, really the best game you could say is LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Has been LSU. And all the other games, I mean, they were pretty dominant this past weekend against Syracuse. But then, you look at
Syracuse,
the Boston College game, which came down to, them holding on. They fumbled their way and, just a whole lot of miscues. Clemson, could have easily lost that game, but they found a way to win it. That's what championship teams do, especially on the road. So they've had some character building games, which that's kind of what you want, just to keep guys' attention and keep them focused. And they've found a way to win those games, but they found a way to continue to improve, which is what you want to do as well.
Well, I'm glad you said character building game because that leads me to the final question that I have before we do our reviews and our picks. I just went back and looked at the top teams in the country. They haven't played anybody.
Especially Michigan. Michigan has
Like
played
nobody.
nobody.
Well, I'm looking at Michigan. Michigan, they've played ECU, UNLV, Bowling Green State, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, IU. Georgia's played UTM, which I don't even know what that is. I guess it's Tennessee
UT
Martin.
Martin. UT
Okay.
Martin.
They played Ball State, South Carolina, Auburn. No, I'm sorry, Alabama, Birmingham, then Auburn. The toughest game they played was UK, which they did send a pretty clear
Obliterate.
message about that. And then Vanderbilt, but then they don't have Bowers for who knows when. So then you got Ohio State, who is I didn't realize Ohio State, other than Notre Dame, their schedule has just been unbelievably cupcake.
Mhm.
Like they haven't done anything. And same thing can be said for Penn State. Florida State has at least played two ranked teams, and they still have a pretty, so who is the best team? The only one that I can say, two schools that I can say, okay, they may be something. Washington seems like they had a big game this past weekend. That was a pretty significant game with Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess you could say
Washington has the best win so far.
See, I was going to say Oklahoma. I like that Texas win. That was a pretty.
Those
both
two
of
have
those
the
wins are
best.
significant.
Yeah, both of those two have the best. Those are the two best wins of the season so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I'll say this: you could throw Notre Dame, Louisville's win in there as well, because the Notre Dame team that Louisville beat destroyed USC, and they're not done. So, who is the best team in college football? Is it Washington?
But I mean, it kind of is all kind of relevant when it comes down to it, because it depends on the teams when you're playing them, where they are. Because you're at the beginning of the season, that's the real unknown.
Right.
But you have your rankings anyway. And so you think about the Florida State LSU game was a top 10 matchup.
Top 10 matchup, yeah, at the time.
And so at that time, yes. But now as the season has gone on, LSU is still in the mix. They hadn't been playing well defensively, but they still
Defense
been
is
winning
awful.
games.
It's weird to see LSU's defense that bad.
Yeah, so it depends on when they play. Because Oregon and Washington just played and they were top 10 teams. And there's going to be some top 10 matchups coming here. Ohio State, Penn State this weekend.
Yep.
So they're going to start playing each other. It'll just be interesting to see, how the teams that you mentioned that may not have had the tough schedules, how they fare in close games. It can go one or two ways. They can be healthy at that time and they're playing everyone. And mentally, they're just better. They're better prepared and what have you to compete in those type of games, or they can falter because they had been in those situations where they're down, 10 points, and they have to navigate their way back to winning a game. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these teams who haven't played in close games, when it comes to fruition, as far as when they're going to have to dig deep to pull out, some plays.
Once again, and I can't say this enough, the irony of this season is that the Pac-12, who felt as though we can't go any further, we've gone the last mile of the way, let's break the whole thing up, is arguably having the best top to bottom season they may have had in the last 20 years. And it appears that they're going to get at least one team in. Like, I got to believe whoever survives the Pac-12, if they can survive with no more than one loss, they're going to get in. Because it's a gauntlet. It's been a gauntlet. And they've played some of the best football in the country. And that may also be true for the ACC this year. Maybe who survives the ACC, one team gets in. Like, it's possible.
So what if there may be one team that rises to the top out of each conference?
It may be, yeah.
So with the gauntlet that you were talking about, what if there's one team at the end that's a champion that has 2 losses.
That's a great
And there
question.
are other teams in the conference, because the conference is so tough, have 2 losses.
Because 2 losses is not impossible this year, I don't think.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think
it's
it's
not
impossible.
impossible. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that there
Yeah.
could be 2 losses due to,
I think
you
it
know,
depends on the conference
It might not
because
this year, though. This might be the one year it might not.
I,
I know what you're saying, because traditionally,
because
the SEC is going to do what it
they'll
does.
give the SEC the nod regardless.
Do you think they do that this year, though? Because the SEC top to bottom is not good this year.
It depends, right? It depends. Like if it's Alabama, they're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I feel like
They haven't the last 2 years.
no, yeah,
They haven't the last 2 years. So I don't.
that's always the wild card for me. Is the
That
SEC.
is a wild card, no question. But I'll say this: I don't know if anybody's looking at Alabama this year and they're saying that they are deserving of a top 4 spot. They don't look deserving
Not
of
right
that
now. Not
right
right
now.
now. No. I mean,
That's
honest
a
with
great
you,
question that you're both asking. I
it's hard.
would you put Alabama in over Oregon?
No.
No.
No. So if Oregon
Not at
was to
this
make
point.
the Pac-12 game and then rebeat Washington,
Rebeat.
I know. Listen,
They
the
didn't beat
moment I
them.
said it, I knew I blew that word. I knew that's like rebeat. What is that?
So how are they going to rebeat when they didn't beat them?
I know. Listen, Charlie, what I was hoping for was that we'd all pretend like it never happened.
Okay.
That's what I was hoping for. But clearly we didn't do that. So I got to own that one. I blew that one. But Oregon beating Washington, that's a massive win if they beat them in a Pac-12 championship game on a neutral site.
Right.
That would be chaos, because that means Washington would only have they
One
would
loss.
they would have 1 loss.
Could only have 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
And
That would
didn't
be
they play? Wasn't that no? That game was at Washington. So
Games at Washington. So
man,
do
I
you
think
get
we're
2?
headed toward chaos. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, we're
This
definitely headed towards chaos. This is the most parity we've had in college football in
in a
decades.
long time.
I love it.
In a long time. I've had more fun watching college football this year than I think I've had in forever. Let me tell you how much chaos there is right now. For the first time in BLEAV in the ACC history, we all went 3-2. We had the exact same record. Even our believe in one picks all won. Washington, Notre Dame, and Missouri.
We're good at this.
Huh?
We're good at this. 2 of us are 5 games better than the other one, though.
You don't have to do that. That wasn't necessary. No.
So that wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary. You could have left it. We're good at this. You could have.
After rebeat, I was on a roll.
Touche. All right. So the week 7 results were as follows. Virginia Tech got the win against Wake Forest. I'm not sure. I don't know how to feel about these pick'em games like this. Like, I don't know what Wake Forest is, and I don't know what Virginia Tech is. So
Virginia Tech is solid. I think with the quarterback, it gives them a chance, and their defense is not bad. So I think they're a solid team moving forward against these pick'em games.
All right.
Especially at home.
Duke, despite their quarterback, were able to win this game against NC State.
Duke's good enough defensively, and NC State has their struggles offensively as well. So that wasn't too much.
I thought their defense was supposed to be like pretty good.
I mean,
Is that not true?
They held Duke to 24 points.
Yeah, they gave up a long run in the fourth quarter, I think, to
Was it Jordan Waters? Is his name?
number 7.
That the
I'm
kid's
not
name, the running
sure.
back. Yeah. Yeah. Their backup quarterback was awful. Like, I mean,
It's his first game.
well,
Yeah.
it was probably his last one as well. If Riley comes back this week, I don't know if Riley's gonna play this weekend though. I gotta be honest with you.
I wouldn't bring him back
I feel like
against
he's
Florida
not playing
State.
this weekend.
I wouldn't bring him back against that pass rush, but
I feel like he's not gonna play this weekend. The
Maybe they feel
shocker of
good
the
in,
week.
maybe they
Oh,
feel
I did
good
that
in their
wrong.
offensive line.
Huh?
I say maybe they feel confident in their offensive line. Duke.
I don't think they should though. At least not this weekend. They should probably. Charlie, I know what you're doing there. I know what you're trying to do.
Right.
Don't get that young man hurt, Charlie. Don't do that. In the shocker of the weekend, for sure. Louisville goes on the road, and all of the plans align for them to lose.
But Louisville didn't play well. Like I just said, my man had 2 interceptions, 1
Yep.
touchdown. I mean, that ratio is not good. He had like 300 plus yards passing,
Right.
but he threw it like 59 times or some crazy number.
that's
Right.
that's two things under Brom's offense. You're gonna have a whole bunch of passing yards, and there's going to be games where they abandon the run when they shouldn't.
Yeah, and then
Right.
when you're down, you got to throw it. Like that's just what it is. So that happens.
The 17 points is also deceiving. It wasn't that big of a. I mean, they got a late score. It was
Right.
it was a close game throughout.
Yeah, he threw it like it was a late pick, right? Wasn't it?
It seems like it was
Something like that. I think it was like a late pick or something. Florida State, no problem with. This has got to be the year for Dino. It's got to be the year. Like I'm not trying to get a black man fired, but this has got to be the year.
You believed in him 2 years in a row.
I tried. I definitely tried, and that's over. That is over. I think I and the Syracuse administration are probably going to abandon him after this year. I think it might be over for him. UNC gets the win against Miami, so putting the final nail in the coffin of the U is back. That's once again over. These ebbs and flows with Miami are just I can't take it.
But let's just go back a year.
Okay.
All right. Florida State last year went 10-3. I think it was.
I think you're right. Mm-hmm.
And at one point, they started the season 4-0. And then they proceeded to lose 3 games in a row. And everyone was kicking dirt on Coach Norvell and the team and the whole 9. And then they ran off, whatever the number is, 6, 7 games in a row to finish 10, or 6 games in a row to finish 10-3 to build towards this year. So I bring that up because Miami is very in a similar boat. I'm not going to pick them to win against Clemson, even though they're at home, but they have a chance to lose 3 games in a row, and everyone's going to be kicking dirt on Coach. What's his name? Down
Cristobal.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere though.
No, he's not going anywhere. But they're gonna kick dirt on him, even though he's not going anywhere, because they'll have 3-game losing streak, and then that's gonna, either they're gonna go downhill or rally behind that and finish the season off strong. But I just brought that point up because it could potentially happen. And we'll see if they are able to turn that season around after three losses.
I think 3 of the last 5 are winnable. You got Virginia, you got North Carolina State, and you got Boston College. Those are all winnable. Even though 2 of those are on the road. I think
Louisville's winnable. At home, yeah, that's winnable.
I don't know. Louisville plays really well at Louisville. It seems like at home.
Well, that game's at Miami.
Huh?
That game's at Miami.
That game's in Miami? Am I reading it wrong?
Yeah, that
I'm
game's
reading
at Miami. Yeah, that game's at Miami. That's a very winnable game for Miami.
And that might be winnable too. So 4 of the last 5 are winnable. So you never know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not picking them though. I do know that. All right. And then of course I picked threes. We had Oregon and Washington. Washington getting a dynamic game, one of the best games you've probably seen this year. USC's defense is absolutely horrible. They have literally played Caleb Williams right out of the Heisman. Like it's over. He has no shot to win the Heisman now.
But they gave up their normal.
No, I agree. Listen, they're on brand. The defense is for sure on brand.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, I just didn't realize they were going to be that bad.
The X factor was Notre Dame's defense.
Yeah,
and how they, frustrated USC's offense, because USC's offense been carrying the team the entire year.
absolutely.
And Caleb Williams has been, working magic all year. But they kept him in the pocket. They pressured him. They hit him. Had people in his face when he was trying to throw. Sacked him. Had him throwing off his back foot, throwing quicker than he wanted to throw. He threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it got ugly real fast. And then of course, Missouri beat UK. That really wasn't surprising though. Like
Well, the way it started out is surprising because Kentucky was up 14-0 in that game.
Yeah, but Devin Leary was still out there quarterbacking. So at some point, he's going to do what he do. I'm just being honest, man.
I wasn't surprised, but I mean, let's say they started out so well, and then one of the things that's been a plague for Kentucky, even before Mark Stoops, but even under Mark Stoops, is when adversity hits during the game, they tend to fold. And and you rarely see a comeback win from them. And then and I said, if something goes wrong, it's usually 2, 3, 4 more things will go wrong at a time. And that's been a problem for them for years.
They don't take a good punch in the mouth.
No.
But Mark Stoops gave you the answer, UK. Only up the dough. And I put on a show. That's what he did. All right. So here's our week 8 picks. We coming out the gate, Boston College and Georgia Tech. Mr. Ward, is there any guess or any doubt which way you going with this one?
No, I'm gonna pick Georgia Tech just because they're at home.
Right.
But it's tough because you never know which Georgia Tech's team's gonna show up.
I don't know which Georgia Tech team's going to show up, but I feel pretty confident in which Boston College team will show up.
But their quarterback is good, though.
Yeah, but can't do it. But he doesn't have a Zay Flowers to throw to, so without his Zay Flowers, it's
I'm sticking with the home team on that one.
Yeah. Still not enough tape out for Pitt's quarterback, so I think I'm going Pitt on this one.
And I'm going Pitt just because I believe they've got a good enough defense. If their quarterback can make improvements as the year goes on and the defense keeps playing the way it's playing, they'll be fine the rest of the way.
If he doesn't make mistakes, they should be in every game.
Yeah. I'll go with Pitt.
Dog's going Pitt. What are you doing?
Yeah. I'm going to go Pitt as well.
All right. Virginia, North Carolina.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that one.
North Carolina.
This won't be the week they drop the ball. Our big game of the week: Duke and Florida State in the ACC. If no Riley Leonard, there's no chance. With Riley Leonard, there's a slight chance, but not enough to make me not go Florida State.
Right, I'm Florida State no matter what. No matter who plays quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Seminoles at home.
All right, and then the last game, Clemson and Miami. Clemson going to Miami.
I say this is the week that Miami bounces back.
I said 4 losses.
You
I
did
did
say
say
4
4
losses.
losses.
I think
Is
Miami
this
bounces back this week.
you go Miami?
I'm going to go Miami.
I'm gonna go with Clemson.
All right.
Because Miami is trying to find their way, even though they're at
Yep.
home, and I'm sure they'll find it. And there's really no home field advantage for them. So like most times you have to worry about crowd noise and all of that. There's really no home field advantage for So I'm gonna go with Clemson.
Um, I'm gonna go with Miami solely on the strength that Tyler Van Dyke is not the problem. He is not the problem.
No.
He's putting up incredible numbers. If Miami would just join him on the field in the football game as a team, he'd probably be in the Heisman conversation.
So what is Miami's problem then?
Huh?
I know. So what is their problem?
Well, they keep giving up more points than they're scoring.
Well, if you look at the Georgia Tech game, I mean, they gave that game away, and then they losing at
literally gave that game away.
Literally gave that one away.
Yeah,
losing at North Carolina is not exactly a bad loss, and they've been struggling with North Carolina ever since they joined the ACC. So I'm not totally giving up on the dream for the Canes. I think there was situations or whatever, but that's why I think they'll rally on Saturday and get a big win, get their biggest win.
Tez Walker is a problem, by the way.
Tez Walker is a problem.
I see why they were fighting so hard to get him back. That is a problem.
Yeah, and so that's why I don't think this is a home run that Clemson's going to win this game. That's why I'm going with Miami.
I got you. All right, you got to believe in one this week. Which one you believing in? Is it Penn State and Ohio State? Is it Tennessee and Alabama? Or is it Utah and USC?
Oh, you made it hard.
I'm going to take the first one. Y'all usually take the first one. I'm going to take the first one. I'm going to say Utah goes on the road and closes.
They've got a strong enough defense.
Yeah, their defense is for real, and it's kept them in all year long. So I'm gonna say Utah goes on the road and closes the final chapter of Caleb Williams' college career.
Is it though?
And he focuses. Well, listen, all I know is my GM had a really good talk with him this past weekend.
They talking too much about the future.
They
said they talking too much about the future. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he packed it up for the season. Because they're talking so much about the future.
Charlie, you're not gonna like
what season.
Charlie, you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say next. I mean, can you blame them? They're gonna get it's.
Come on, man. I know you're not locking up the job in the middle of the season.
Charlie, it's possible. It's very possible that he can wrap it up.
Are you kidding me?
It's Charlie. It's very possible he can wrap it up.
Come on, man.
I'm not endorsing it, but just the way they're talking, because like all you hear about them coming from them is the future. You don't hear anything about the season. So
I'm not
totally saying that.
After the game, it's reported all over New York. He had a very long talk with our GM. Joe Shane sat with him, met with him. They talked.
Oh, what? Y'all so side into Daniel Jones. What y'all gonna do?
What? I'm sorry. We doing what now?
So how the Giants going to be talking to a guy who's the number one pick?
Because we gonna probably have the number one pick.
No, you not.
If not number one, number two, we'll be at the top. We'll be right there. If we keep playing like we're playing, we're gonna be right there in position to pick a high-level quarterback.
Don't the Bears have the first 2 picks?
Well, if but Carolina's not gonna take a quarterback. Now they may bail on Justin Fields. Even though I don't think it's Justin Fields' fault that they are what
It's
they
not
are.
Justin Fields' fault.
Right.
It's
So
the
to me,
stupid
that's
system.
But here's the thing: Caleb Williams has already said, "I'm not going to Chicago." Well, I'm sorry, he didn't say it. His daddy alluded to the fact that he could do another year when Chicago was mentioned as a possibility.
Daddy talking too
Hold
much.
on. Yeah, exactly. Because if you're talking about bailing in the middle of the season, how are you going to play another year in college? That makes no sense.
Well, I think if they bail, they're definitely going pro. I think if they make their decision that they're going to go pro, he won't play in their bowl game.
I think they're trying to align his situation and plot his course a la Eli Manning. They're trying to say, I'm not just going to go to any team.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another year. So if I can't go to a team that I feel comfortable with and an organization I feel comfortable with, I'll just come back.
And
So
their team's
and
going to be
that's
good
a
at
threat. That's
USC.
just a threat that he's throwing out there, Charlie.
That's definitely a threat
Mm-hmm.
because I know he's not going back to USC if their defense is still the same way.
Right. I agree 100%.
And
So
especially if he doesn't finish like well. So to me, they need to be focusing on just finishing the season well, in some form
Exactly.
or fashion.
Right.
I
They're talking too much about the
understand what
future.
they're doing. And I know Caleb hadn't said much of anything. I just, to me, that I don't like all that. You know,
it's coming across real Kyler Murray-ish. Like his dad and Kyler Murray's dad seem very similar. Like way too actively involved in the process.
Way too involved. It was the same thing that happened with the Flowers kid at Louisville.
Yeah, way
That was
too
way too involved.
So we'll see how it goes. But it was interesting, the reports that came out this past weekend. Okay, Charlie, Kendrick, which way you going? Tennessee, Alabama, Penn State, Ohio State, Utah, USC. What you doing?
I'm gonna go Ohio State over Penn State. Not to.
What are you basing that on? I'm just curious.
Past performances of Penn State.
Of Penn State, I figured as much. No, that's real.
That's real.
Listen. We've seen this movie before with Penn State.
Yeah, this is the sequel. This is like the 8th sequel.
They
Great start to the season, and then they start playing people.
Penn State is the Friday the 13th of college football. There's no more consistent movie than Penn State. So.
This is Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jason Takes Manhattan. Regardless of the plot line, you know how it's going to end. All right, Charlie Ward, what are you doing?
I'm going to go with Alabama over Tennessee.
So you're starting to believe?
No, but I just
think that's a lack of belief in Tennessee.
Playing at home, there's a challenge that Alabama has, and there's also a challenge that Tennessee has. Both defenses are solid. Defenses, both offenses are okay. They're not over the top either way.
Right.
And so I'm just going to go with the home team, knowing that both teams' offenses are, okay. But the defenses are solid. So I think defense at home wins.
It's going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting game. I'm very curious to see how that one unfolds because I'm with you, Charlie. I don't know about any of those, either one of those offenses, which is crazy because I really thought the backup quarterback, I call him the backup quarterback from last year, who is now the starter of Tennessee. I thought he was going to really come into his own this year. And he hasn't really taken off as much as you thought he would.
Right.
His long ball is good, but other than that, it's like everything else is just kind of it's okay.
Yeah.
So
and they already lost at Florida, so it's hard to pick them to go win at Alabama.
Right. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds. All right. I guess we could give a collective shout out to what I thought was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Last night with the Aces and the Liberty. Let me tell you something. The WNBA finals has not disappointed in the last 6-7 years. They have been fantastic every year. And last night was no different. I thought for sure the Aces were going to get cooked in that game. I'm be honest with you. No Chelsea Gray. I was like, I don't see how they pull this off.
So
And
I have a gripe.
you have a gripe? You don't
Yes.
normally have gripes. I'm very curious about this.
So
We go full
why
screen.
do they only have 5 games
That is a great question. I don't know.
in the
I have no
finals?
answer to
I can understand the other rounds, but in the finals, I do believe
It should
they
be
should
7.
have 7
It
games
should be 7. I
It
agree.
should be 7. I agree.
I agree 100%.
I don't know why. I don't know what the thinking is, and outside of
because
getting out of
go
the
ahead.
football season.
Because when we see these types of games, you want the season to go even further, like
Yeah.
a couple more games. Even though, you want to give more eyeballs, more opportunities for these type of games to continue to happen. And I don't know if it has to be something they're talking about, at least for the finals.
Well,
Um,
I think with the new expansion, I think that may be en route. So I'm hoping that you're right, Charlie, that they'll get to that because I would have loved to seen the Liberty's response to last night because they only lost by 1 point.
Mhm.
right.
They only lost by 1 point, and in a 7-game series, and I'm not. This is no disrespect to the Aces, but in a 7-game series, I don't know if you can beat them 2 more times without Chelsea Gray.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's
That is my point.
yeah.
Like
In a 1-game scenario, you can't. Yeah.
you extend the series longer to
Mhm.
where it's not, you got to win 3 games
Yeah.
to win the series as opposed to that extra game. Because as we all know, that 4th game is always tough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see them try to win 2 instead of just
Without Chelsea Gray. Yeah.
having because they know they only had to sell out for 1 game. So
Mhm.
and they did
Right.
exactly that. And even doing that, still it
Right.
came down to an incredible defensive stop at the end of the game. So
And they're missing out on money
Right.
because the between those 2 teams, I guess any team that's in the finals,
yeah,
they're going to pack the stadium.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I
I'm
agree.
stunned that you turned off the ALCS last night.
Oh no, I didn't turn it off. I watched the entire game. Now I got multiple screens in this piece, brother. But and listen, I'm is that a flexible? Did I just
Oh,
Yeah, you just
that wasn't even humble.
And that was a humble flex.
that when you humble.
That to yourself.
that was my fault. That was my fault.
I got multiple pieces.
Only because I'm doing it's okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Man, I let that one slip out. Okay. I let that one slip out. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have a problem with them starting Scherzer last night. He deserved to start. Now, I kind of felt I was not surprised by the result because a guy that hadn't pitched in 6 weeks
Right.
probably isn't gonna tear the house down. Like,
I think
Yeah.
it's what you just want them just to get in a couple innings, and then you go to your bullpen anyway. And
Exactly.
Houston jumped all over them early.
exactly. And to be honest with you, I was very proud of the bullpen because they gave up 3 runs, but it was, like, listen, Jordan Alvarez, ain't no way to stop that dude. Ain't no way to stop that guy. He gonna hit it out. That's just what he gonna do. So we have to come to the game knowing they're gonna at least score 1 run. and Altuve is the same way. Like he's kind of becoming that I'm money kind of player too.
Yeah,
So-
and then Schwarber for the Phillies. I mean,
Oh my God, that dude's a freak. Like he's so freaking strong. But so tonight's the night. Tonight's the night. We got to get this one, so we can have 3 chances to close out. We got to get tonight. If we lose tonight, then I'll be concerned.
yeah, you you got what you wanted. You got the split in Houston.
Got the split in Houston, right?
Going on
Well, no,
tonight.
we got 2 in Houston.
We got 2 in Houston.
Yeah, you got 2.
We got 2 in Houston. So we just got to get. We need tonight. So we'll have 3 chances to close it out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they
That'd
can
be
be
fun. These baseball playoffs have been fun.
Huh?
These baseball playoffs have been fun.
They've been great. They've been absolutely great. I normally don't have anything to cheer for with the Rangers in October, and this has been great. So I've enjoyed it great. I've enjoyed the business. So those are my shout outs. What Kendrick, Charlie, what you guys doing?
I really don't have too much going on. Shout out to my Cowboys for not letting 1 loss turn into 2, heading into the bye week with a win. That's about it. And I don't even want to talk about them all that much because they still do stupid stuff. They just won. So there's that part.
I mean, it's a weird game.
Yeah.
But at least you're not calling timeouts on RPOs with 8 seconds left on the clock and pivoting to a run play that can't possibly work.
Well, we go down and get a first down with 40 seconds left and only manage to get 1 more play off to kick a field goal before halftime. And shout out to Charlie Ward's barber because he's Coach Crispy.
He is Coach Crispy. We're thinking about having T-shirts made up for branding. Charlie Ward, who you shouting out this week, brother?
I got shout out to FSU soccer, the ladies soccer team, and Pitt. They play tonight.
Okay.
Here in Tallahassee, and I was looking to see they're both ranked. I know they're both ranked. I just don't know what ranking Pitt is, but should be a very good game. Oh, they're number 18,
Gotcha.
and Florida State's number 1. Sorry.
Yeah.
But so it should be a good game because they're 1 and 2 in the ACC.
Nice.
So looking forward to watching or at least seeing glimpses of that game tonight. Won't be able to make it, but looking forward to it.
Almost forgot. Collective shout out to the Iowa women's basketball program, who packed more people in the stadium than the Iowa men's football program. At 55,000. Caitlin Clark.
Was it Orlovsky that said that's the most offense that stadium has seen in a decade?
There were no lies told in that statement.
Not one.
There were no lies told in that statement. That was impressive, man. I first of all, what a great idea that was. First of all, let's start with that. And then second of all, man, let me tell you something. Women's basketball is in a really great place right now. I think they're finally starting to figure out and crack the code, and the talent is matching up with the opportunity. And I'm telling you, Caitlin Clark could be one of those type of players.
And shout out to
Iowa. Steph Curry in her.
That's a bold move to schedule an outdoors basketball game in Iowa in October.
Well, but let's be honest. But let's be honest, though. What else is there to do in Iowa in October?
But you might have an ice storm.
I agree. Listen, I agree. There was some risk involved, but weather permitting, ain't a lot going on. Listen, clearly the football is not going on.
You look at the 2 places that had these outdoor women's sports games. I mean, Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah, they took a risk. They took a considerable risk, but it worked out for both of them.
But like there are other sports in those 2 regions.
Question, Kendrick. Question, Charlie. Could Florida State soccer, women's soccer, or Louisville's volleyball pull off the same feat?
Not yet. They've played 3 games in the Yum Center. I think their largest crowd has been 13, which is great.
That's great, but
football stadium is
it's not football stadium.
Soccer here, depending upon who they're playing. I'm sure if it was a national type of game, they probably could pull it off in the
Okay.
football stadium. I don't know about 85,000, but um, I'm sure they could, you know, fill just half the stadium.
I feel like they
Um,
could come closer to doing it than Louisville would because they've got a track record of success. Like they got a serious track record of winning
Now,
championships
if
in
that
the whole nine. Yeah.
when they play UConn in women's basketball, that has the best shot, especially if Haley was still there, definitely would have a shot. With Paige Becker's coming back this year because they play this year. They play UConn this year. I think they
That'll be
signed.
an interesting game, by the
Seems
way.
like I think if I remember correctly, they signed like a 3-year deal with UConn because
That should be an interesting game this year, by the way.
Gino and Jeff are buddies, and so
Yeah.
yeah, if Haley and Paige Beckers were on the floor at the same time,
That'd be must
yeah,
see.
you'd
That'd be
have a
must see.
shot at it.
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
that game is in like December. You ain't playing outside in here.
No, we're not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it.
so how about this? The Iowa, it was a scrimmage, by the way.
Right.
It wasn't a game.
Right.
It was just a
Right.
scrimmage.
Right. Exhibition. Yeah.
And they had 55,000. But what about the girls scoring 30-some points outside?
I know.
She's a hooper.
That had a nice old school feel to it, didn't it?
I was gonna say she's one of those rare kids in this generation that's played outside. It feels like
Yeah, that had an old school feel. Show up at the park.
if she put some metal nets up.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be fun. She's a baller. Like, listen, she is a baller. It is undeniable, and she knows how to put on a show.
Oh yeah, she's definitely a show
She
person.
knows how to put on a show. I'm telling you, college women's basketball is in a good place. They just this year, I think, and I would even argue that the WNBA is in a good place. If they can get this new crop to come in on the right teams and be successful, you know what would be interesting? And then we'll close. I know we got to go, but you know, there's a new expansion team coming.
Oh, they're going Caitlin Clark all the way.
I would think.
In the Bay Area, definitely.
Wouldn't that be nice to have her out there with Steph?
That's happening.
It's going to happen. Like,
You think that's coincidental that they just happen to get a franchise? At the
Right.
exact
All of a
same
sudden,
time?
what am I even? They was
What are
barely
the
even
odds?
talking about expansion, and all of a sudden they got a team.
What are the odds? That brand new expansion team, and she's going to have the best of the best because Joe Lacob is going to spend some money. He's going to spend Mark Davis money to make their facilities nice.
So they'll probably. I mean, they'll be in Golden States. I mean, the Chase Center or whatever it's called.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be nice.
It's already ready to go.
They're going to come out the gate.
Because I was watching some practice video the other day of Golden State, and like their practice gym, like looked like it had a bar in it.
It's super nice. I think there's an online video that you can watch of a tour of the Chase Center and the practice facility.
Mm.
That place is incredible. I'm like, the only place that might be better is not better, but it's as nice
Comparable.
as the new Vegas facilities. Which, by the way, they're going to have a team soon too.
Oh yeah,
and you already know who the owner is going to be. Now it'll probably have the same Michael Jordan like success, but
I mean we've already seen his GM skills as it is.
just saying, this is the same guy that brought in Russell Westbrook. So okay, You got any predictions, Charlie? Before we go of NBA season, any finals predictions? Is it too early?
Shout out to the NBA starting on Tuesday.
I know Tuesday. That's why I brought it up.
no predictions. I don't.
Your Knicks
I
gonna
haven't
do
watched
well?
enough. I don't know. They're going to be middle of the road, I think.
I like them.
Boston is strong.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's insane.
Milwaukee will have a chance. And they haven't been playing well this preseason.
Yeah.
I've seen, but of course they haven't played everyone. And then out west, you got Phoenix, you got the Lakers, you got Denver. You got quite a few teams out west that could.
Golden State's still there.
Yeah. Last night we did our NBA predictions. Shout out to Cam, who predicted that your buddy, your bestie, Monty Williams, would crack the code for Detroit this year and get them in the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll have a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
they have a chance. They have a chance to get in the playoffs for sure.
They got a lot of talent. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they do. Ken, you got any predictions before we head out?
It's gonna be a great season. Can't
As
wait.
far as you want to go?
As far as I'm willing to go, it's too much to see. I mean, I got a prediction. James Harden's gonna make a mess out of wherever he ends up.
That's not even a prediction. That's a certainty.
Dude.
That dude went home. That dude is literally at home right now.
He's pulling the Jimmy Butler.
Oh man,
he's
the dude literally went home.
Who was the guy that was in the Ben what's the guy Ben
Simmons?
Ben, he's pulling the
Yeah.
Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
Where they go to practice and disrupt practice and want to get kicked out of practice or don't show up for practice.
yeah, he just
You know,
went back to
that whole-
Houston. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I've never seen someone love for strip clubs override his love for basketball ever in the history of sports. But apparently, James is that guy. He is.
He's just.
I've never seen anything like James Harden in my life. He is quite the anomaly.
Yep.
Personally, as a coach, I wouldn't want him around.
Nobody wants him. That's the thing. He's way overvaluing his value right now because nobody wants to deal with that.
He clearly has zero self-awareness because there's a reason why you're at home right now.
Right.
It's not just because you went there.
And you had a good Eastern Conference Finals except for Game 7. It's nobody still wants you.
Just saying.
Look in the mirror, bro.
Maybe it starts with you, brother.
Common denominator.
All right, we got to get out of it. There's so much more we can talk about, but we got to go. We love you guys so much. Appreciate your support. And we will be back next week. It should be another fun college football weekend. But that's Kendrick Haskins. That is Coach Crispy, a.k.a. Charlie Ward. I'm Lloyd Spence. We're out of here. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us